We are here at Stockport Golf Club to test out the new Ping i530 irons. These irons are to replace the old i525 irons. Now, I didn't review those irons, however, if you do want to watch a full review of those, you can go and check out Sophie's older review. However, I do have those irons in the bag today. What we've done is we've made a set of alternating irons. So we've got the i530 for some of the irons and i525 for some of the others to make a complete set. So we're just going to go out, play some golf and try and see if we can pick up on the differences between those having that mixed set. I'm going to talk you through what the distances are and we're going to be putting these irons head to head. So before we get into the testing, we know from looking at the analytics page that if you're watching this video, you're probably not subscribed to the Golf A Lot channel. So if you've enjoyed any of my videos in the past or found them useful, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. It helps us out a lot more than you think, and just make sure that we can keep creating content for you guys. So it's 137 yards, it's very cold. I'm gonna go in with the 7-iron, which is one of the new i530 irons. Now, I'm really excited to get this going. When I first saw the Golf A Lot post of these on Instagram, I was really excited to try them out because I just thought they looked so good, even from the initial pictures. The club is very clean and very sleek and just have this very modern and premium feel to it. There's no overwhelming design features or anything unnecessary, and to me it just looks like a really great golf club. So I'm very excited to give this a go. So down by the ball, first impressions of the face of the club. There are a lot of grooves on the face, which is just slightly different to what I'm used to. Definitely looks like a very classic Ping iron with that slightly thicker top line, very rounded. But overall, I do really like how this club looks at address. There's quite a long blade length, and that extra little bit of thickness on the top line is filling me with a lot of confidence stood over the ball. We can't really see any of the bulk from the back of the club, so overall, really liking how this looks at address. So just pushed that one out a little bit to the right. Kind of expected that to go even further out, but it looked as though it was fighting to hold its line, which was good. And also looks like we've just gone to the back of the green, so pretty solid for distance, but straight away, really nice feel off the face, so it's not a bad start. So the pitch mark's just there. The ball has stayed on the green. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to hit the green with that shot, so clearly some forgiveness with these irons. Okay, we've got 156. I'm going in with the 5-iron, which is again from the i530 irons. A little bit of a downhill lie here, so I'm hoping for a bit of forgiveness from the 5-iron. A little bit of thin, and again, still up to the right, but kind of what you would expect from that downhill lie. Sick. So these irons are for the golfer that is looking for extra distance while preferring the look of a blade. Now, there's so much technology packed into these, lots of words that I can barely pronounce, never mind remember. So I'm going to get up the tech sheet and try and attempt to talk you guys through some of the bits of technology and specifically how it could help your game as a golfer. So first up, there is an internal weight pad in these irons. What that means is that the face is going to be able to flex a little bit more, which essentially acts like a trampoline to help spring the ball off the face and give you some higher ball speeds. Now, I don't know what miraging steel is, but we've got a miraging steel C300 face welded to a stainless steel hollow body. Inside of the club head, there's also a polymer in there, which is essentially kind of like a padding on the inside, because if this club head was hollow, you wouldn't get any response, the feel wouldn't be nice at all, and it would have an awful sound to it. So essentially that design is just to improve feel and sound for the player. So as I said earlier, there are loads of grooves on the face of this iron. If I take you in a little bit closer to have a look, we've got precision milled Micromax grooves on these irons, a lot more grooves than you would used to be seeing on a normal iron. And the reason for that is essentially just to optimize spin from various different conditions so that from all different types of approach shots, you're still going to be able to control the ball around the green. Something else that we see in these irons is the Hydro Pearl Chrome 2.0 finish. Now that's nothing new for ping irons, we've had it for a few years now. Essentially it's just the coating and the finish of the irons to help golfers still perform well in wet conditions, which obviously is perfect here in Manchester and perfect for most of us in the UK. Okay, so that's definitely enough on the technology side of things. Now on this hole, I'm slightly in between clubs. I've hit loads of shots with the i530 irons. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit one with the 9 iron in the i530 and one with the 8 iron in the i525 so that we can start to get a little bit of that comparison and that head-to-head testing going. So first up, we've got the 9 iron in the i530 range. And next, the 8 iron in the i525. So it was actually the i525 that finished up closer here. And with that ball, the pitch mark is about this far behind it, so it's clearly checked up very nicely. However, the 9 iron with the i530 landed me in the bunker. To be fair, probably wasn't the right club and would have just come up a little bit short if it was straight anyway, but I'm excited to hit a few more shots with the i525 and see if we can get a real comparison going between the two models. Okay, so coming up onto the last hole now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a few different shots from various scenarios. We're going to hit some irons from the fairway, from in the rough, a few different approaches to the green with both of the irons to really test them out. So that's the outdoor testing done, loads of shots hit with both models of the irons, but now it's time to take a deeper dive into the numbers by taking these clubs indoors and over to Hooked. So we are back from testing these clubs out indoor over at Hooked. The way we tested these out was basically running through the bag with that set that we'd made that had the alternating clubs between the i530s and the i525 irons. So if we run through the carry distances, starting off with the 9 iron, we were getting 123 yards, the 8 iron was 131, 7 iron was 146, 6 iron was 157, and then the 5 iron was 169. So bearing in mind that the odd clubs there are the i530 irons and the even clubs are the i525s. Now looking at that as a set, I would say that that looks like a pretty standard distribution and that gapping is pretty good. The only one that seems to stand out is that 8 iron, and if we look at the increase in distance going from the 8 iron i525 to the 7 iron in the i530, there is a big gap there and there's quite a small gap between the 9 and the 8. So looking at the distances, we could probably say that the i525s are going that little bit shorter, but only by a few yards, and that's only really seen in the shorter end of the clubs. So with the i530s, we're not seeing a massive increase in distance there. Overall, looking at the numbers that we got for distances with the i530 irons, I would say that they're pretty strong for distance, looking at what I would be expecting to see. Something that I did notice with the i530 irons is that the spin rates were pretty low. If we take the 7 iron, for example, we were getting an average spin of 4,892, which is significantly lower than you would expect normally for a 7 iron. And obviously that isn't going to help with control and stopping around the greens. Now obviously if you hit the ball slightly to the left and you pull it a little bit, you are going to see the ball going further. However, when that happens with these irons, the ball went significantly further than I would ever expect, even with the shots that were only slightly going off to the left. For example, with the 5 iron, I hit a 199 yard shot with a 5 iron, which is something that I would never expect to be able to do. So obviously, if you're getting so much extra distance when you just send it slightly offline and slightly over to the left, that could land you in a lot of trouble in hazards long and left of the green, which obviously isn't ideal when you're hitting in. That said, other than that one shot, I have to say the 5-iron from the i530s was my favourite iron out of all of the ones that we tested today. It felt like there was loads of forgiveness and it was so easy to hit, and I never thought that I would find myself saying that a 5-iron was my favourite club from an iron set. So coming on to a conclusion of the i530 irons, as always, we're going to go through this in 4 main categories, so that's looks, feel, performance and value for money. So with the i530 irons, I think that Ping have done a great job in taking the previous model and adding some refinements to get a really premium high-end looking club. You've got a very clean, sleek design. Obviously, we said on the face that there are a lot of grooves there. Now that might be slightly off-putting if you're not used to it, especially at a dress over the ball, but overall, I would say they are a very nice looking club. Going on to feel, like I said earlier, that 5-iron, I absolutely loved the feel of it. I thought these irons were really easy to hit and just came off very, very clean. They almost reminded me of the Ping Blueprint irons that I tried out earlier on this year, but if you were to just take those irons and add a little bit more speed and a little bit more mass behind them, that was the feel at impact that we were getting with the i530s. And if we were to compare them back to the previous model of the i525s, I would say that they felt that little bit cleaner at impact if I was being really picky. And we also noticed that there was a little bit more of a thud sound with these irons compared to the i525s that were a little bit more clicky at impact. Going on to performance, I felt as though these irons performed really well both out on the course and looking at the data over at Hooked. As we said, they were getting some really strong numbers for distance, which I was really impressed to see coming up close to what I would be looking for with my own irons. And I felt as though out on the course, they were just really easy to hit and really easy to play with, which had me stood over the ball with loads of confidence on approach to the green, which obviously is exactly what you want with your irons. The only slight issue that we saw was that reduction in spin, which would make it hard to control the ball, especially in the middle of summer, or if you're playing a links course or a very dry course. You might see some difficulties with these irons, struggling to control it and stop it around the greens. Finally, coming on to the price of these irons. So per iron, you're looking at £190 RRP for a steel shafted club or £200 for a graphite shaft. Now, in terms of value for money, they are very, very expensive golf clubs. It's the same price as we were looking at with the Blueprint irons earlier on in the year, which we did say at the time are really expensive golf clubs. These irons were set out to be for golfers that liked the look of a blade but needed more distance from their clubs. And I would say that they have definitely done that in terms of getting the extra distance, being very forgiving, but at that price tag, it is just a lot of money to pay for a golf club. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know down in the comments, would you be willing to spend that much money on a set of irons, or how much would you be willing to spend? As always, if you want to know more on these irons, you can check out my full written review over on the Golf A Lot website. Thank you guys for watching and subscribe for more.